Welcome, everyone, to All Things Brunswick. We are so happy to have you join us again this month. We are into the month of January 2025. Unbelievable. We have special things planned for the month of January. We would like to recognize our law enforcement here in Brunswick County. We have so many great people who work for the sheriff's office, and we also have so many great people that work for the individual municipalities. So we're going to try to reach out to folks and have them join us and, excuse me, go over things that are important to you, things that you need to know. Today with us, we have back Detective Kyle White and Jason Mullis, and they are back with us after we spoke to them at the last show on scamming. And I find that is really important. As a matter of fact, guys, remind me to show you something at the end of the show.
Okay.
Because I know it's a scam, but I would like to show it to you.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome, guys, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Our co-host is back with us today, Todd. Thank you, Todd, for being here. And, of course, TK, who we could do nothing without. Hi, TK. All right. So, last time we were together, I think we hogged the mics. And that's why I asked you back today, because I know that you have a lot of good information that you want to share with our viewers. And so please feel free to do that.
Okay. We'll touch base on a couple we left off on last time. We'll talk about a few of the different scams, and then hopefully you guys will have some questions. Otherwise, it's going to be real dry just listening to us the whole time.
Oh, no.
So one that we've seen is like a publisher's clearinghouse scam, or another way to think of it is a jackpot scam. Somebody contacts you, either email, most of these are done on the phone, saying you've won some kind of money, but you have to pay taxes or delivery charges to get that. And they're
So
going
they
to keep,
call you?
Yeah, typically most of these are done on phone. That's what we're
Wow.
seeing.
That's kind of like the green dot cards.
Mm-hmm.
They used to do that scam. You'd have to go to Walmart and buy a green dot
They
card.
still do that scam.
Wow.
But yeah, it's best way to
It's
think
like
of
a
it.
gift card, right? The
Yeah.
green dot, yeah.
Yeah, best way to think of most of these is a jackpot scam. It's all kind of basically the same scam. They just put their own twist on it each time. Sometimes they'll call, hey, you've been selected to win this great prize of $1 million and a brand new Mercedes. And at the end of the day, you didn't win any money. They're going to milk you for every bit of money that you'll send them. And they're very convincing. That's the thing with pretty much all the scams, is they're very convincing. They try to put urgency. Hey, if you send us now, or we're going to get another applicant, you're going to win this. They're going to win this money, not you.
How do they think that they are in the running? Did they?
A lot of them just don't think about it. They are so, I could really use that money right now. I could, and they're very convincing with it. They're claiming to be, McMahon with Publishers Clearinghouse,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
these people that have been in Publishers Clearinghouse for years and probably have retired and moved on long ago. They'll throw those names out there and be like, oh, that sounds legitimate.
And they try to give like an explanation why that they've been in a pool, they've won this certain amount of money, and that your name has been put in there through an email, and saying that
Okay.
you're going to get this amount of money, and it's going to be spread out from 20 people. And they get
And here's the one thing, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but if you win money from something, they're going to deduct the taxes and all out of it, because they have to send that straight to the state or the federal government when you receive the money. And
But
chances
how
are
many
they're either
people
going to
know
go.
that, Todd?
Well, I hate to say it, but it's kind of common sense.
Yeah, but not everybody thinks about that, do they, guys?
No, and unfortunately, that's a lot of the victims we run into. Most of the time, they get people that could really use that money at the time. A lot of people unfortunately, the elderly, there's on fixed incomes, that kind of thing. It's typically more the victims we see of this. I mean, you go ask somebody, in their 20s or 30s right now, hey, what's Publishers Clearinghouse? Most of them probably can't tell you. So typically the target range is usually around 65 or more. Somebody that's going to be a little more familiar with what Publishers Clearinghouse used to be. Or,
And those are
just
the
general,
people they target?
typically. You'll occasionally get some other people with more of like investor scams, which is kind of a similar thing. They're showing some kind of great investment and all these people getting this money back, and you could be one of them. And it's kind of all the same scam. It's just a different spin on it.
Okay. Because I know that whenever I've won something, the last thing on my mind is, do I have to share this? Do I have to pay taxes on this? I don't even think about that.
Yeah, different places have different rulings on like taxes. Some of them will let you get the money and then you're responsible for paying taxes. Some of them will let you opt to, take the taxes out of the jackpot.
Like the lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some things are done a little bit differently in each situation.
It's because Todd is so intelligent that he remembers this stuff. It's true.
Well, everybody should know that the government's going to get their taxes.
Well, I know.
So that's
Well, and if you win something from somebody, they're not going to charge you to receive it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
that's just
Well, you and
most
I know
legitimate
this.
giveaways.
You and I know this,
Yeah.
but some people might think that that's how it's run.
And that's where the urgency usually comes in. It's you got to act now to get this prize, and because if you had time to take 5 minutes and think about it,
Yep.
it's going to sink in. I didn't put in for anything.
Right.
Why would I be submitted for this? Makes no sense. But that's where the urgency comes into play with pretty much all these. Is they're trying to institute some kind of emergency to where you have to act now. Don't ever act now. I don't care if it's what it is. Take 5 minutes and think about it. Almost any legitimate entity is going to give you time, if not more documentation, if you request it to prove they're legitimate.
Exactly. Yep.
So we'll move on to the next one, email threats. We were talking about this just before the show. We continue to get a lot of calls about these. Luckily, I've not really heard anybody losing money to them, because I think most people realize real quick this doesn't make sense. But we get a lot of repeat calls about them.
What are they doing?
So they're calling, basically, you're getting an email, they'll open the email, and it's, hey, we've accessed your computer, you think you were safe, we see the pornographic websites you've been on. They don't give any kind of specific information, so it's not legitimate. And 9 times out of 10, obviously most people aren't going on that stuff anyway. And actually North Carolina, I think, has banned any kind of pornographic websites
Right.
at this point too.
Yep.
Which I guess not everybody would know. And then
Also
they're
with-
threatening to leak that information if you don't send them typically $2,000 in Bitcoin. And almost all of them have been the same. Sometimes they'll add pictures of your house from like Google Maps,
Oh my goodness.
which most of that stuff you can look up on
Right.
public information, tax records, stuff like that. People
But
can get a lot of information about you
once
that's just public
again,
information.
How many people are aware of that? That's the whole thing.
So they're basically trying to blackmail you is what they're
Basically. And I mean, most of the people getting these are again, older people, and they're like, I don't go on that stuff. I just wanted to let you know that, hey, this is going on. I said, we've actually, I think we talked about this, maybe touch base on it last time we were here.
Yeah.
And this is a pretty regular call that we get, that people are getting
Wow.
these emails. And unfortunately, they're using VPNs and stuff, and I've cut you off twice.
No, you're
I'm
fine. You're
sorry.
fine. I was just another thing with the email is that's something that's gonna go to each one of your bank account, your 401k. So that's something that really needs to be protected, that people don't think about a lot, because that email is, you usually use one email for all your
Right.
things, your bills, your everything that you pay with is going to be that email. So that's something that you don't really think about a lot, that your email needs to be protected. Change that password every month, 2-step verifications, different things like that. And when you have a question about something like that, go ahead and go straight to your email provider and go direct with them instead of whatever email that is sent to you. Go direct with that. Go to a different browser and go to your Gmail account, go to them, get in contact with them that way.
Really?
Yeah, so basically, if you get an email from somebody, and this is my regular practice, only because I know a little bit about some of these scams. Like if we were talking about Social Security. I've gotten emails, and you could bet your life that it was Social Security, unless you knew what to look for. And if you go up in the email address, it'll say myssa.gov.com. Well, nothing in federal government ends in .com.
No.
It's all .gov.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everybody's
And-
gone to the .govs. You might have like a very small PD of 10, 20 people that are still using the .coms just because they haven't switched over to the .gov yet. But it's very few and far between, especially if you're dealing with we've all gone to the .govs now for the sheriff's office. Anything from the sheriff's office should be going to the .gov at this point.
And that's the thing, but most people, and I get this, I'm not very computer savvy, but I'd say I'm at least average or a little better. So I know to look at those things. But what I do is when I get an email like that, no matter who it's from, I'll exit out of that, go to Google, bring up their website, and then I'll log into their website that way. Because I don't trust what's in that email, even if it just said .gov. Because Social Security will send you email saying, hey, you have a message at myssa. Exit out, go through your browser, go to your website and look it up that way. That's what I do to help avoid that.
Right. It never hurts to be suspicious about something. I mean, even if it is legitimate, you going through and making sure that it is a good practice.
I did not know that Social Security sent messages.
Yep. What they'll do is send you a message and tell you that you have a message. If you have a myssa account, and all you do is just register with Social Security Administration, and it's your private communications, but it's on their server. So
Okay.
you're not going through the internet so much as you are on their server. And they will send you messages in there. But when they send you an email about it, it won't tell you what that message is. It'll tell you you need to log into SSA.
Okay.
So Social Security has their own proprietary
Right.
through their site
Right.
messenger. Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I don't think there's a link when SSA sends you that message. I don't think there's a link
Yeah.
on the email. You have to go out.
And that's typically what we're seeing with most of your email scams is use our link to be linked over to this, and then that's typically where you end up giving them access to your computer or their access to your email, and then they can watch you put your passwords in or change your passwords, and then they start watching you from there if they don't go ahead and access everything that you had.
Yeah.
We'll kind of go ahead and mix this one in with spoofing. So with spoofing, it's basically it's fake. Whether it's a phone call, somebody has put the number in they want you to see. It's been happening with the sheriff's office here of recent. You can do it with emails. You can do it with texts. Basically, it's somebody can pretend to be a different entity and send you messages. So with the emails, for example, they're faking the sender's email, like we were just talking about, and they're wanting you to do something, typically in some way or shape or form, send money for some reason.
To get out of your warrant. That's
Yeah,
the
to
one.
get out of your warrant.
That
Okay.
one I think is hilarious.
Okay, so this brings me, I have to share this now because this is what this is.
I knew I was going to get her.
This is what it is, I'm telling you. Okay. Where is it? All right, so there's a number, okay, it's texted to me. This is a bank, a local bank, okay?
It's a scam.
I know, which I used to have this. I had an account there, but I closed it. Okay, I guess they don't realize that, but whoops. Okay, and then it says, "Did you just withdraw $485 from your account? Kindly review here at." Okay, now if you're not aware. And this is what comes up. Maybe they're on to me. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so it's probably monitoring you right now, whatever you put your username in and your password, so then they can get access to
Right.
your account.
They want my user ID, my password, so that I sign in. However, if I've forgotten it, not a problem, because I can put a new one in as long as they can see it. So, it's, and then it said, doesn't have an online user ID, register now. They want all the information that they can get.
So the biggest thing with those, don't click on them.
I know. I know.
So after we're done here, go ahead and change your passwords and stuff.
I know. I just wanted to keep it and show it to you.
But now, if I'm not mistaken, now I know you said you've already closed your account. They will just shoot that out to a million phone numbers, and people who have that account with that bank may fall for it.
Yeah.
Potentially what that'll probably do, like I said, each one's a little bit different. We've had a couple similar situations, is some way, shape, or form, they'll get the information from that and be able to use it to try to access your account, pretend to be you, start trying to manipulate your account.
Well, the thing is, if they're going to go to Truist and try to access my account, there is no account.
So in your case, you're fairly safe with that. But the other concern is
I think,
some way they may have gained access to your phone by
we'll do that.
doing that.
We'll delete it right now.
But typically they're wanting to see what you're doing right at that time to gain that access right now. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the
And for someone
majority of
like,
that.
say, an elderly person who does have an account at Truist, that would be very scary for them.
Oh, yeah.
If they're on a fixed income, $485 is a lot of money. They want to make sure that this is not happening if they don't understand.
And again, for that, if that is a situation where somebody does have an account there, don't use their link. Go to your own Truist account and
Right.
and do it that
Right.
way. But
If-
that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
If nothing else, pick up the phone and call the bank.
right.
Yeah.
Call
Yeah,
them
if you don't
direct.
have the app or you're not technologically savvy, call your bank. Hey, do I have a charge pending for $485?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I didn't make it if I did. Like, and then confirm if it does and find out the date and then, proceed on from there. Go to the bank in person. I mean, there's nothing
That's
wrong with that.
that's the one thing I hate about technology is because we've lost that face to face with people, and so people go now. Everybody's used to clicking on a link, and they go wherever, and usually they're getting cloned or copied, or they're getting all their information taken.
So that is spoofing.
That's a variation, yes.
Okay. So tell us all the different
Oh,
types
Lord.
of spoofing.
So typically you'll see, you can see it in emails where they're using, say, .gov.com.
Okay.
They're trying to add legitimacy to their email link.
Anybody can get that Truist logo
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
Google. and
Especially
just-
with AI
sure.
now,
Yeah.
AI has made it a lot easier for crooks to remake logos, to edit them. I mean,
Copy web pages.
Yeah,
they'll
copy web
they'll do
pages,
an entire.
rebuild.
You click on a link and it comes up, and you swear to God that was the website.
I can't remember when we had it. It may have been the last time we were here. We
The
had
Nike
the Nike logo.
Yeah.
So this was a fake website. This was Nike's website. The fake one actually looked better than Nike's website. No offense to them, but
Really?
it was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and with AI, like you're talking about, that's one of the downsides to AI.
The
They're
difference
getting better
was-
and better.
Yeah, the difference was this one, the fake Nike website was 75% off of an item that cost.
It's typically you'll see it's too good to be true
Right.
to where people bite. I can get a good deal on this.
So what is the saying? If it's too good to be true, it generally is.
Right.
I like Ronald Reagan's phrase, trust but verify.
That's a good
Yeah.
way to
And,
put it.
and
too,
it's
yeah.
real easy to do because all you got to do, if this is Nike's website, let me Google Nike's website and see what specials they got.
Right.
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 And just verify it.
Yeah.
If they don't have that special listed, you know it's a scam. A lot of people aren't going to go to, everybody's in a hurry these days.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, I think.
It is.
We don't take the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Look at Temu, for example. Okay, legitimate website. But there's a reason those prices are 75% off. You're ordering something that you think's a full-size flag, you might get a napkin.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it just, you got to kind of take it into account when you're ordering these things. It's kind of like gambling. I probably wouldn't put more money into it if you're not, it's a sure thing, than you're willing to lose.
Yep.
Right.
'Cause chances are you're going to.
There's a good chance you're going to.
So what other types of spoofing are there?
Typically what we see is emails, text, and phone calls. We kind of touch base on the phone call one with people using the sheriff's office number to call them, saying, hey, you have a warrant,
yeah.
send us money, we'll get that taken care of.
I've actually had that happen, but it was interesting because it just said sheriff. It didn't say like Cumberland County Sheriff's Department or Brunswick County Sheriff's Department. It just said sheriff.
It's not department,
and I'm
it's
like,
office.
I know the sheriff.
$2.
He's
You owe
not
us
calling
$2.
me because it would say his name.
Dig
And-
your money out, Todd.
But and it's the scams are kind of interesting. Yeah, you send us this money and we'll withdraw the warrant. No, you can't. Unless the judge is on a take, and if that's the case, I need to contact the FBI.
So we actually had one that threw out some of our people's names, threw out, I think it was Disbro's name.
Wow.
And so they were somewhat familiar with some of our
Personnel.
personnel
And running,
judges and
Elected
and
officials.
Running
Yeah.
radios in the background.
Yeah, to
Things
where
like
they add a lot of legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
And so our biggest thing is we do a lot of advertisement, a lot of PR. Our guys are on not social media necessarily, but a lot of links to where you're going to see their pictures, you're going to hear their names.
Yeah, finding out the personnel and all and contact information's easy.
It's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
like
mean,
said,
you can
we're
go to the
out there.
website and find most of it.
I mean, yeah, if you call, I mean, most of the time you'd be like, hey, is Sergeant so-and-so there or whatnot? And they're going to direct you to them, and that'll tell you, hey, they still work there.
Well, and pretty much most of the advertisements and promotions like the sheriff's department puts out and everything,
It's
they have
office.
specific
Mm-hmm.
contact information. Quit correcting me on the office.
You know, I'm not the one that's going to correct
I'm
you.
sorry, but I deal
Brian's
with-
going to come through that door, and
I
am I
deal
not
with
right?
sheriff's departments and with city police offices and all. So it's
It's got to be office.
He
To me-
got the office correct on when he said police. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that our former sheriff, John, that nothing irritated him more. But, and I know Brian feels the same way.
So I'll cut him a little bit of slack because there are sheriff departments
Oh,
also
yeah,
out
there
there.
are.
And
Yeah.
then there are places
But
that are
not in
sheriff's
North
offices.
Carolina.
Yes. So we'll give you a little bit of slack on this.
I'm just trying to save you.
oh God. From what?
I don't know. You might get stopped for speeding on the way home.
God, I hope not. I got cruise control. Nice. That's one thing I love about the new vehicles. My newer truck, it shows what you have your cruise set at on the dash. So if an
That is
officer
nice.
comes up and goes, "I clocked you at 78 mile an hour." Well, my cruise control says 60.
I'll get it checked. I'm sorry.
So, are there other types of spoofing? So it's actually just texting, phone
Typically
calls,
texting, calls, and emails so far.
So what is an example of an email?
Typically more of the like .gov.com. They're
Okay.
making it look like it's from, say, Brunswick Electric. Your Truist, an example of the texting.
And
They
they're
can kind of make them look
asking-
like anything they want, and typically they're asking you, "Hey, go through our link and pay your
Right.
bill. We're showing an overdraft for last month, or whatever it might be."
Okay.
Well, and there was a while back they were doing that with like Facebook, social media, and you had to enter your username and password on their site because they were demanding you reset your password,
Oh yes.
and that's how they got your password.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so when that came up, I was like, okay, well, I had the app on my phone, so I'll pull up the app, and I'm like, okay, there's no messages in here, so.
And
Boy.
on that, folks, we need to break and pay some bills. And please stay with us. We have a lot of more information on scamming and how to protect yourself. What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you are a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everybody, to All Things Brunswick. Today we're talking to two detectives from the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, and we are talking about scamming. And included in that is something known as spoofing. Are there other nicknames that go along with this process that they use?
That's pretty much it for spoofing. I mean, that's typically how people refer to it when it's like a counterfeit email, counterfeit phone call, text. That's usually your more common terminology for it.
Or cloning, like they do on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
It's copying something that's not theirs and it presented it as that thing.
Now, I have heard lately, on we have this Facebook page called Neighborhood, okay? And I read on there, a lady wrote that somebody had come and promised her services, required half of the payment down, and she never saw them again. So, in actuality, they scammed her for that amount of money. So, does that happen a lot here as well?
We get some of it. I don't know if it's enough to say a lot, but it does happen. Typically, you'll see more of that after a storm, like a bad
Hurricane or something.
hurricane or any kind of environmental disaster where they're coming out to do repairs. Typically, you see a lot more of that then. We'll kind of tie this into the next one we're going to discuss
Okay,
is impersonator scams. That's kind of basically the same idea.
Okay.
Some of these will actually be legitimate businesses, and they've actually filed for LLCs and different type of things. So people were pretending to either be with that company,
Wow.
or they're actually like an individual who has opened a company and now gotten some kind of financial trouble or has developed a habit that he shouldn't have or she shouldn't have. And now they're grabbing at money as quick as they can and say,
Yeah.
let's go out and promise to do all these jobs and never intend to do them. So in North Carolina, we have a few different charges for that. We have obtaining, which is pretty popular for lack of a better way to say it, kind of a catch-all. Basically, you've defrauded somebody for some kind of gain, whether it be
Right.
financial or whatnot.
Yeah.
And typically we can kind of proceed with charges with that if we can develop enough evidence and probable cause to charge you for it. In some of these cases, these fall civilly. It just depends on the circumstances a little bit.
Do you find them?
Sometimes we do. Typically with the storm response people, they hit town probably in about a month and they're gone again.
I bet. I was going to say they probably come in and leave immediately.
Yeah, they'll come
with their
in,
money full,
grab
with
a bunch
their
of
pockets
cash,
full. Yeah.
and they'll leave town. So those, it's not real likely unless you've got a good paper trail on them that's actually got something with their actual identity on it.
And that's a big problem around here because, like, when we have a hurricane come in, you get thousands of roofs tore
Yes.
up. We only have
Yeah.
so many roofing companies, and people need their houses
Right.
fixed. So
Yep.
then they have to start because the local businesses can't handle it.
No. You get a lot of companies come from out of town, and some of them will actually do legitimate work. I mean, they probably aren't going to have the insurance coverage and stuff that they're promising to have necessarily. Some of them might do shortcuts, and so that's kind of a issue on the other end. But some of them are actually legitimate businesses actually trying to do legitimate work, and just they see an opportunity to make a little more money, and so they do. Because usually your insurance rates jack those prices way up when they do a new roof on a storm damage, because they can charge like 3 times as much as they normally would. So it makes it worse for them to come from Kentucky and Texas and all these other places. Oh, we're going to get in the roofing business.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm telling you, what a crazy world. You have to watch every single thing.
Yeah.
And they come up with new ways to do it every day.
Yeah. So what's next on the list that we have to watch out for?
Marketplace.
You want to do marketplace?
Yeah. So Facebook Marketplace is probably something that you don't think about a whole lot when you're selling something. When you're selling something, I've had one that this person was selling something. They received a check in the mail for more than what the item was worth. And so
why did they get a check before the
right? So they told them that it was for the shipping, and he was going to send the money to this shipping place to get this item to them. And when he went to deposit the check, it went through. A couple of days later, it was marked as fraudulent, and then it was taken out of his account. He had already sent the extra money to the person, so now he's out of this. So that's another way to.
And that one's actually been around for a while,
Right,
because I remember
right.
that was happening a lot on Craigslist.
Yeah,
what is
they
the
were doing
correct way to do that?
not using checks.
Okay.
In-person cash
Yeah,
only
yeah.
is the way I do
but
mine.
why would you pay for something before you get it? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, no, he's paying you. It's like if I were buying something from you, but I needed you to ship it to me.
Right.
He's paying you the shipping cost, so you can send it to the shipper who is actually coming back to him.
So
because
all
you're
he
gonna cash a
sent
fraudulent
was
check.
the shipping cost.
No, he sent what was worth what the
What you were selling
item
it
was
for.
selling, plus the shipping cost. But the check was fraudulent to begin with. So when he goes to deposit the check, it goes through then. But a couple of days later, maybe the next day, it's marked as fraudulent. They take the money out of the account. He's out of all the money plus what he sent them to get the item shipped to the person.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more scams using checks, and then they're getting recalled because they were wash checks. Is basically what's happened.
That's why I have funny practices on Facebook Marketplace, and I've used it quite a bit. Local pickup only, cash only. And I get a lot of people trying to get me to use the different pay apps. I know like PayPal, I can't remember what all the other ones are called. I'm like, no, cash in hand. And a lot of times if it's a small item or something, I'll say, okay, like if I'm here, I'll say, meet me at the BSL Police Department and do the exchange in their parking lot. If they're out to get you or rob you or something, they're not going to show up at the police department.
Probably not gonna
That's just not going to happen.
And that's another situation where, I mean, with Facebook Marketplace, legitimize these people. Look them up before you, because that business, even if you're buying it from a business on a Facebook Marketplace, look that business up and make sure that the email or whatever you're sending it to is not. Look at reviews of people. They've had issues with this person before, not receiving payments or something like that.
What if it's an individual?
Well, if it's an individual, that's something else that a lot of times this isn't their first time defrauding somebody.
Right.
So that even if it is an individual, they can have reviews on that same person. Look at their reviews on their transactions they've done. certain ways like that. Like you said, cash, meet them in person instead of sending things virtually. Checks it's just not a good idea.
Yeah, checks have kind of become a little bit obsolete to the point where
Yeah.
What about paying bills with checks?
if you're doing it in person at the place,
That's okay.
I mean, you can. You're still
it-
running the risk of if they dispose of the check, something like that, somehow it could be washed.
So, but no mailing. You
I would
should not mail
not
them.
mail checks anymore.
So another thing people don't realize also, those numbers on the bottom of your check is your accounting and routing.
Right.
So
right.
if somebody gets that, then you can buy anything. You can get checks to. I mean, it's.
Yeah, you can start bouncing that money
Right.
around.
I know
potentially.
somebody who does everything with checks, so. I might
Well,
have
and
to
most
talk
older
to her.
people still do because for
Yeah.
It used to be
many
the more
years
secure
that's
way
all
of
we
doing it,
had.
yeah.
Right.
And nowadays everything's gotten corrupted.
I
so
know.
yeah, everything's a potential scam. It's just pay attention to what's going on and make sure you're dealing with who they say they are. You know, if it's the bank, you're not sure about it, call the bank.
Yeah, so we've run into a lot of the fake check scams in one way, shape, or another. Typically, if they're paying you with a check and then wanting you to send that money back somewhere, I'd probably hold
That's
off on that
automatic
for a while,
red
'cause 9
flag.
times out of 10, that check's going to get recalled here at some point, and then you're going to be out that money. And just, I'd be real hesitant about checks in general.
If
As
it's a
far as the money
large,
market stuff, go ahead.
I'm sorry, if
go
it's a large amount, you can always get a cashier's check from your bank,
That's an option.
and that is safe. So, because they have to,
Safer, yeah, because the
Yeah,
bank's
well,
not going to lose their own money.
no, they have to kind of jump through hoops to get that,
Yeah.
so.
Well, and I sold my old truck to a gentleman in South Carolina, and he goes, "I'll bring you a cashier's check." Well, the problem is cashier's checks have had fraudulent cases as well, and
You
you
could
can have a
potentially
bank
clone 'em.
run them and find out they're not any good. So when the guy bought my truck, I had him bring cash, and I said, "We'll meet at the bank. There's a notary at the bank to sign the title." And because I'm suspicious of everything. One, I wanted the bank to verify none of it was counterfeit. And two, I wanted cash because I didn't want to have to wait 5 days to find out if the check was legitimate or not.
Yeah, and if somebody
So
has
how,
a
how
problem,
do they clone a cashier's check?
Same way they would a personal check. I mean, there's enough software out there. You can go to Office Max and get printing material, and then they can just take a real cashier's check and alter it.
Okay, yeah, that stands to reason, I guess.
and if somebody has a problem with doing something like that, then they're probably,
Yeah.
trying to get something.
If
over
they
on
really
somebody.
want it, they're going to
Yeah.
find the means to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
They'll
issue
go get a
to meet
loan
at a
and get it in
bank.
cash, or
Right. Yeah.
The only downside was I had to sign an IRS statement because it was over $10,000 in cash, and they're like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
are you dealing drugs?" "No, he's buying my truck."
you see the truck that's there? It's about to not be.
The title you just notarized?
Well, they're just doing their job too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's good. Oh my goodness! I suppose you have more.
There's always more. I mean, we could spend probably days on this if we needed to.
This is so scary.
So, did you guys get any packages over Christmas that you couldn't explain?
Nope.
That's good. Anything? So we'll kind of touch base on this quick then. It's a brushing scam. So what they're doing now is starting to send out, like, say, Bluetooth speakers, stuff like that to people. And typically what they're doing is putting a QR code in there. They're not putting, like, who it's from. You're just getting a random gift in the mail. And then you'll scan that, and it'll clone your phone and send it to them.
Oh my gosh.
There's a couple different ways they can do it. That's been kind of the big one that we've heard about. So far, we haven't had any here that I've been aware of just yet. We've seen that in some other local places. So just be mindful of that. If you're getting packages in the mail, that's real nice that they sent that to you. And, I mean, you keep it if you want, send it back if you want. But just probably don't scan stuff if you don't know where it's from.
Okay, so exactly what should you be on the lookout for, other than the fact that you didn't order it and it's come
Don't
to you.
scan anything on the box.
Yeah, if there's a QR code on there, hey, if you want to know who this is from, scan this code. Be leery of that.
Okay.
I mean, if you're expecting a package, just kind of buyer beware about it, because if it's somebody like you've done a lot of business with, say you order a lot of truck parts and it's from the truck part manufacturer,
Right.
maybe call them and verify before you go scanning anything in the box, because what they're doing now is putting code in there and you scan it and it's prompting your phone to do things and send your information.
I don't even want a cell
They're
phone
real,
anymore.
They're real tech
It,
savvy.
it seems like the more technology we get, the more scams there are to create.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time. I mean, your criminals are going to find a way to use it improperly.
Yeah.
It had good intent when it was invented. Same with, like we talked about last time, with some of the ATMs for Bitcoin and that other things.
Mhm.
They're going to find a way to misuse it.
Anything can be exploited if you try hard enough.
That's
Yeah.
it. It had
Yeah.
great intentions when it was started, but it's getting used inappropriately.
It's scary. It really
is
is
very
all that's out
scary.
there, and I'm still young enough and alert enough to pick up on a lot of it. But there's a lot of it. It's so close that if you're not really paying attention, they'll clean your clock. It's just like they used to, like on social media on Facebook, they would hack your accounts and create a clone to it. Now they just clone it. They don't need to hack it. They just clone it. Well, then they get all your friends and everything else onto theirs, and they can do all kinds of things. Well, it also ends up getting them access into some of your other social media where you may have some information that
And
you
what
don't
about
want
your
people to know.
friends?
They'll typically jump over thinking, oh, well, he's over here, and for some reason
They
I'm not
created a new
attached to that
page.
one. Yeah. And sometimes they'll literally almost copy the exact same page. The only difference it'll be is, hey, this page was started 2 months ago, as opposed to he's had it for 12 years.
Yeah. And that's one thing too. If you're buying or selling on like Facebook Marketplace, because I use it a lot, I always look at when somebody messages me about an item, I will go and research their page.
And see how old the page is.
If
See
it's
how
been
many
there since
friends they actually have.
2009,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, chances are they're legit.
If it was created 2 months ago,
Yeah, then
Yeah, well, if they only have like one picture of themselves,
Mhm.
and then the next clip shows when they were born.
Yeah.
Period. There's nothing else on that page.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
probably a
that's
scam.
we
kind
had
of a
one that I think
giveaway.
had 6 friends, and it was like 6 months old. And
Yeah.
they were selling some stuff, and they ended up taking somebody for some money. That's where we're also seeing some AI usage. Is they'll put pictures on there where you think it's, oh, this is them, and they're actually artificial intelligence pictures they've snapped from somewhere else. We had one recently used to try and do a property scam we talked about last time, and one of the pictures was used from a 2022 missing person.
Oh my goodness.
So when you run the name, it comes back to this guy that's got this pretty good record of not being a nice person, but then when you run it through like a facial recognition, which is how we're using AI to try to be catch up to the criminals a little bit, it brought us up to this page of they snatched it from this missing person poster.
Oh,
Wow.
It was the same picture.
Isn't
I mean, you could
that
see the hairdo and everything
something?
was the same. You could see that they literally just and put it on this fake ID, and they were running it that way.
Let's keep that in mind. We have to break one more time for to pay a bill, and please come back and join us, folks. This is so interesting. What a great place we all call home, from colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everyone. We've got some more information to get out of these gentlemen tonight. But one thing people need to keep in mind, everything we're discussing, this isn't just Brunswick County. This is nationwide problems. So no matter where you live, this information might be beneficial to you. So thanks for watching.
Thank you,
You were
Todd.
talking about Reddit. in the
Yeah,
break?
so one of the ways you can go and learn about these scams, because obviously, I mean, we could spend weeks on this and still probably not cover them all. If you go to Reddit, just put it into your search engine, Google, Edge, whatever engine you're using, and just type in Reddit and then go to their search bar and put scams.
Red, R-E-A-D,
Yeah,
I-T.
yeah.
Read it.
Mhm.
Okay.
However you spell it, it'll correct it for you. It's,
R-E-D-D-I-T.
I think it's DDIT.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
And
Well,
then,
the audience needs to know how
yeah.
to spell it.
And then just go type in scams to their little search box, and it's scary how much stuff it'll bring up, and it'll give you details on what exactly the scam is, how it works. Typically, if you click on it, you can go and see even more details that you probably don't want to know about. You'll become a hermit and just stay home all day.
I'm at that point already. I don't want a cell phone anymore or anything.
That one's probably the most kept up to date one I've seen, because people obviously who have been scammed report those scams, and they end up on there quite a bit. So it's a very, very kept up to date. We try to do as up to date as we can what we're seeing here locally, but that'll even have stuff that we haven't dealt with yet here. It's very good. It's very kept up. The other one is the Federal Trade Commission. If you go on their site and look up scams, one, they give you a lot of information. They'll give you free pamphlets if you need them for something. As parents, for like you're keeping your kids safe, they'll give you some pamphlets for that. A lot of that stuff's free pamphlets. If you're like a school or a government entity that needs those, or other law enforcement agencies, I get a lot of our stuff. Can I see that one? A lot of our stuff from here. They'll do about phone scams. And it actually breaks
Wow,
down a lot of
that's
stuff.
neat.
I'll leave that
So
with you
you
guys.
do
when I
have
get out of here.
literature.
We do have some literature. We're going to hopefully make our own. That's through the sheriff's office with our information on it as well. But that's right now they have probably the best place to grab literature, and like I said, most of it's covered through taxpayer money
That's
for
great.
like law enforcement entities and stuff like that.
And this is also a place where if you do become a victim of some kind of scam, you can go on there and do an identity theft
Yes.
report with them, and it gets the feds involved with your case as
Oh,
well.
wow, that's great.
And also,
I know that they have this thing that I caught it a couple times on TV called Catfish.
Mhm.
And I think that's on romance scams.
Mm-hmm.
But they really pursue it. They find this person. I don't know how. I mean, I'm not familiar with how great it is or anything, but it seems like they really are interested in prosecuting these people.
Definitely.
yeah, we
Well-
always want to, obviously, but sometimes it just the trail kind of goes cold, because with the
Right.
software and stuff
Yeah.
they're using, they bounce a lot of it around. It's all done online. Typically, they're not even using their own faces or names, so you run out of leads really quick on some of these.
Yeah.
Well, and plus too, I'd imagine it goes outside your area of authority too.
Almost always.
You know, it's whether they're in Texas or
Mhm.
at least if it's in the continental U.S., you can contact sheriff's departments and
Mhm.
other states and say, hey,
What if it isn't?
What's that?
What if it's overseas? What if it's in Europe or South America?
I give up
or-
now. No, I'm just kidding. No, typically it is really hard. We do typically, if it goes nationally or it seems to be a bigger scam than we're used to dealing with, or we're going to need a lot of resources to try and deal with it. Sometimes contacting these local police stations, sheriff's offices, sheriff's department, depending on the area, They'll work with and try to help. Some of them just don't have the manpower to do it. Like they're struggling to keep up.
And I suppose there are countries as well that their police departments are corrupt.
Potentially, yes.
Well, we all know that. I mean,
Well, and some of them are government state actors.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So-
some of them just, they don't play with the U.S. So some of these places,
Sure.
like if they go to Nigeria, stuff like that, and we track the money to there, unfortunately, most of the time it's gone. I mean, there's no way to recover that money.
And that's the area that everyone talks about. Those young people that have these. It's a business with them. It's a group of these young people, and they drive Mercedes, and they wear all these clothing that is name brand and jewels and everything. Because
They offer training programs to
I
teach each other
know,
how to rip
they're-
people off.
that just
They do. I
blows-
mean, there's a lot of it's a like website based. It's all online.
Con Man
Yeah.
University.
Basically,
I mean,
they offer
seriously.
programs and videos and stuff on how to scam them. They do like black market eBay kind of thing for kind of the best way to put it. Of hey, do you want Billy Joe's Bitcoin information? Do you want their credit card number? Do you want this bank account number? We checked it last week.
It's
It's
kind of
still
like
working.
the dark web where
Basically,
they're
that's
selling
what
your.
it is. They're selling your
my
information on the dark web.
goodness.
Here's a real quick question before we run out of time. If you have a bank account opened in your name, on your information and everything, and what should you do? Because I actually had that happen about a year ago. They opened a bank. I think it was State Bank was the bank they opened it at. Never bank there. Had never even heard of them until this.
In your
And-
name?
Yeah, and I went there, and they immediately shut it down and all. They had sent me a letter because I hadn't put any funds in it. I'm like, well, I didn't open it.
Yeah.
And they go, well, we'll do an investigation, but we'll close it. And they
What's
closed
the
it. and
purpose of them doing that if they didn't put money in there?
It's
Potentially
part of
going to
a
use
bigger
it for like a
scheme.
mule account or something like that that's going to link back to
Launder
him.
money.
Yeah.
For
Money
human
laundering, typically.
trafficking, drug dealing, whatever.
You have a few different options with that. You can go to the identitytheft.gov, which is will let you report, and it can also give you steps of what to do if you feel like your identity's been compromised and how to kind of recover that. You can go to reportfraud.ftc.gov. That's Federal Trade Commission's reporting agency. Obviously, you can call us. We can do a report for you.
And the
Now-
LifeLock kind of.
LifeLock is one we recommend to a lot of people if you feel like your information could have been compromised.
Well, that's the thing that really gets me is because we've had, between my wife and I, 3 different companies that we do business with that have been breached. And so they gave us the 1-year free thing. And my problem is well, once that information's out there, it's out there. 1 year's not going to cover it.
Right.
You need to be covering it for life. You're the one who allowed it to be breached. And they don't. And the problem is then it's $450 a year after that.
Gee whiz.
Yeah. So
Talk about scamming.
yeah, who's really the scammer
Yeah,
here?
really.
And the issue is with it is most of them, I know LifeLock advertises it quite a bit, is what you're paying for isn't so much just the monitoring. Most of them offer insurance to help you cover, I want to say it's up to like $1 million or something,
Yeah.
to help you restore your identity,
Yeah.
which in most cases that's probably going to be pay the debts that they were rolling up in your name. But that's part of what you're paying for with that is it's an insurance company.
And one easy thing to do, you can contact all 3 of the credit bureaus and have your credit locked down. And then nobody can run a credit report on you. Well, any legitimate business is not going to do anything if they can't run a credit report on you. I mean, hell, you can't even rent an apartment.
So what a lot of people also don't realize, like your Social Security number. You can go to Social Security office and file a fraud report. Somebody's using your social. And they'll start the process of a fraud report. They'll usually want you to contact us or whatever local municipality you have. You can also lock your social. So then nothing can be ran. It also doesn't build credit anymore. You can also get your social changed. I want to say they'll let you do it 5 times in a lifetime. But you're starting from scratch.
Oh,
So, if you're older, everything's paid for, stuff like that, maybe not as big a deal to start over because you're not using your credit anymore anyway.
Right.
Hopefully, unless you decide to do a big investment or something. And you also have the means potentially to, pull out 401k or something if you had to pay for a large purchase just out of the blue. But it makes it hard because people lose everything they've built all their time building up their credit to do things and
Right.
take loans. You're kind of back to certain cases, cash is king
Yeah.
if you have to start over.
Yep. How sad. I cannot thank you guys enough for giving up 2 days of your time to join us. I think that this is so very important. And I think that the most important thing about it is awareness.
Yeah.
Folks need to be made aware how slick these people are, in scamming.
Question everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's sad to say we're not in the 50s anymore, but question
Right.
everything.
And I think, take your time. Take your time when you're in the process of purchasing or, checking into something. We're, like Todd said, we're all in such a hurry that we don't take the time to check into things.
And
I
that's some of
think-
your biggest factors is everybody wants to cause that urgency.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
Anybody
number
calling
one point of
you,
salesmanship.
yeah,
urgency.
anyone calling you, trying to say there's somebody reputable, ask questions. Take time.
Right.
If they're saying, "Hey, your son was just in a wreck," okay, how's he doing? Where's he at? What's going on?
yep,
You can call and check on that stuff.
yep.
I mean, if he was actually in a wreck, God forbid he wasn't, get that information. You're going to want to know that anyway.
Yeah,
Well, you're going to have a sheriff's deputy or a highway patrolman or local police officer.
Hopefully, you're not going to
contacting
calling you. Hey, this is your son's public defender.
Yeah.
Send
Right.
us this money, and we'll get him out of this.
My first thing would be, you're fired. I'm hiring a lawyer.
Yeah, it's like I don't. Okay, where's he at? What's going on? Tell me, And like some of them will actually impersonate their son. That's where, like with AI, they're using voice analysis and stuff to read your kid's voice.
Unfortunately, we're about out of time. I do want to invite you all to come back and join us next week when we will once again have a couple of deputies from the sheriff's office to talk to us about human trafficking. This is a very unfortunate subject that, believe it or not, is pretty predominant here and in the surrounding areas. Our month for All Things Brunswick is to recognize and support and thank our first responders in the form of law enforcement. We appreciate you so very much. I certainly know that you give a lot more than you get. And that to me doesn't make sense. But if you see a police officer today or sheriff's deputy or a patrolman, trooper, just tell them how much you appreciate them, because we must.
Thank you for your service.
I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Detective White and Detective Mullis, for joining us again. I have learned a great deal that I did not know. I mean, I feel really naive. I didn't know half of that stuff. So, and the sheriff's office does have literature.
We do.
And I'm sure that you guys wouldn't mind somebody calling if they have an issue.
Not at all. If you got questions, anytime, call. One of us is pretty much always there. Or if not, we'll call you back.
Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Todd. Glad you could be with us today. And TK, thank you. And folks, please join us again next week for All Things Brunswick. Have a good week.